Macmillan opened up a new adult imprint. What does this mean for you? My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. I am cautiously optimistic about this. I do not think that this one imprint at this one publisher, even though it is a big five publisher, I do not think that this is going to just revolutionize the industry overnight. It is, again, still just one imprint, so there is a limited number of editors who are working here, and this is at a huge publisher, so they are not putting all of their eggs in this one basket, and if this doesn't work, they can just shut it down. So while I do think that this has the potential to be really cool, I'm not entirely sure that we've made fetch happen just yet. In case you're unsure of what it is that we are referring to here, new adult is the category in between young adult and adult. So young adult is aimed at teenagers, 14 to 18 years old, sometimes 14 to 19, depending on the way the publisher has categorized it. And if you come in here and be like, okay, but there it says adult in the title, I didn't do it. I didn't name that. That was set in stone, I think, by the time I was even born. So, like, I'm not in charge of that. Don't yell at me. Go yell at somebody at a big corporation somewhere. They deserve it anyway. So, but young adult is for teenagers. Anytime you are an adult reading young adult books, you are a guest in that space. Adult is then everything from 18 up, everybody else, the whole rest of the industry. And if you are saying like, oh, okay, that's too big of an age range, that's why new adult came to be in the first place. New adult originally was intended for the science fiction and fantasy writers, in which they were saying like, okay, she's 16, but she's married and she's a queen. Is she really a teenager? Okay, but she's not actually an adult because she's 16 and she behaves like a 16-year-old, and the rest of this feels very much like a young adult novel. And so we were exploring a way to sort of like bridge that gap and talk about these books that we were defining adulthood differently than by the legal definition of the way it is defined in American society specifically. But very, very quickly, romance authors were like, I've been writing young adult romance and I like the voice and the pace and the aesthetic of it, but I want it to be more graphic, but I also don't want to write graphic stuff with teenagers. And so they took those characters and put them in college and made it very graphic and started selling very well very quickly. And so that is what new adult became, like immediately. That's kind of what it became. And traditional publishing was like, cool, you guys have got that on lock. Self-publishers writing romance specifically, like, you guys have this under control. We're not going to worry about it anymore. And so then they basically didn't for like 10 years. As romantasy specifically has been catching a little bit more in this, like, that fantasy stuff where we were talking about they're like 16 and 17, but they function like adults in the world that they are living in. And then they're adding sort of these, again, graphic romance scenes on top of it. We're seeing more of that romantasy, like pushing the upper limit of what young adult is doing. And so I think publishers are starting to take notice of that. I do think that there is room and space for new adult as a category within the readership. I think that traditional publishing has been lagging on this for a while. I'm still cautiously optimistic. This is a huge corporation that is making a calculated risk based on what they think the financial payoffs are going to be. In order for this to really take off, it's going to need to be financially beneficial. And I do not think that this is an opening of the floodgates for every new adult book that everybody has been writing for the last 10 years to suddenly be given a big five publishing deal. I think early on, these spots are going to go to established authors, to people that have already proven that they can live in that crossover space, that they've been writing young adult books that appeal to teenagers, young adult books that appeal to adults. I think that this is going to go to, those spots are going to go to some very safe bets early on, and the number of debut authors that they put into this new financially risky category, I think it's going to be small. But I am optimistic. I think this might be a path forward for this to shift and change over the coming years.